What's up, desktoppers? This is part one of a two-parter of Bodybuilding University. So if you haven't seen part one yet, you can go check that out. The link is in the description below. But in part two, we go into should we keep the 212 or not? We respond to Lee Priest's comments, Jose Raymond, Aaron Pilates, Nate Telow, and myself. We go over that and give our opinions on whether we should keep the 212 or not and why. And I want you guys to let me know in the comments below, should we keep the 212 category? Now, the 212 Pro that Lee Priest was talking about in the latest video on RX Muscle is Aaron Pilates, and this was actually recorded prior to that episode. So just a sort of heads up about that. So Aaron had not seen that episode before he was on here, and these guys have actually talked since both these episodes have been recorded, and I'll give you guys an update as well later in this video too on that. So make sure you stay tuned, check out this video, check out part one. If you guys like and appreciate this content, give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. Anyway, guys, enjoy part two, this two-parter of Bodybuilding University. Let's get onto the 212 because there has been talk lately. I haven't seen everyone's opinion online about it exactly, but there is a big talking point. And Lee Priest did a video as well on RX Muscle where he's sort of been the most vocal about it and started the conversation about just getting rid of the 212 and having that prize money from there put into the open. I'll pull up Lee's, what he had to say on RX Muscle as well. But firstly, I'll just quickly go to you, Jose, while I pick that up. While I pull that up, sorry. What do you think about the 212? Do you think it should be kept? Do you think it should be getting rid of, or what do you think should happen with the division?
Of course, I think it should be kept. You know, everyone's making a big deal because, you know, Angel won a show and Kamal is placing high in open shows and Clarita won an open show. These are the best of the best in the world. These are, you know, Angel was top 2 at the Olympia. Oh, and then Derek went on to be second at the Open Olympia, and Hadi won the Open Olympia. And Bonak's been a top guy. These are all former 212 guys. But those are the elite of the elite. There's another 100 212 guys that would have nowhere to compete. So then if they got rid of it, the organization, the IFBB, would lose a shit ton of pro cards.
100%.
Because you would win your light heavyweight division, and then what? Nothing. You're 190 pound, you're done. Why would I pay $400 for a pro card that I'm not going to use? You know, even some of the smaller heavyweights would have nowhere to go because you know, they're not going to do anything. So it's a crazy idea to get rid of the 212. It's so competitive. It's so fun to watch. They are by far the best conditioned athletes in every show. I know, you know, Bumstead's great condition. Most of the classic guys are great condition, but the 212 guys are short with a shit ton of muscle and crazy condition. It is so exciting to watch. It would be stupid even discussing it, getting rid of it. You know, there's a handful of guys that are really good and can go to the open, and the rest couldn't.
Yep. And I'll share the video of Lee now. I'll just quickly pull it up. What he had to say on RX Muscle. I'll put the link to this full video in the description below as well. So I'll pull it up. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can't.
They go that because we're seeing some of these 212 guys, you know, get up there. Look, Hardy was a 212. He's won the Olympia. Derek. Yeah. We're seeing Sean Clarita. If he does well in this, it's like,
Bonak.
Yeah, Bonak. I say get rid of the 212 class and use that money for open so you can distribute more money in the open. Get rid of 212. If you're a good enough bodybuilder, you should be able to stand with the best of the best. I had to back in the day. Lee Labrada did, Franco Colombo did. A lot of other shorter guys had to, smaller guys. So I say get rid of the 212 class altogether, and that money could go to more, like I said, in the open classes and spread it out more. So just get rid of it. The 212 has proven they can stand there. If you're good enough, you can fucking stand there. If you're not, then go do some maybe lower tier pro shows. But if you're good enough, you can do well. So get rid of the 212. Fuck it off.
So that's maybe we'll do an iron debate on that. We'll see. Should we get rid of the 212 class? That'll be, or maybe we'll do a show. And if it is a virus,
I don't think so, because like I said, the good
keep the 212 class and just let guys move up. I don't know. I mean, that might be a better.
I don't think so, because like I said, the good 212, the good shorter guys, like the Sean Claritas, Derek's, even Kamal was the 212, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's like these guys have done well in open classes. So if you're a good bodybuilder, it doesn't matter your height, your weight.
So yeah, that's pretty much the most of it. So, Aaron,
I agree. I agree with what he said, as far as if you're good enough, go stand with those guys. And I did do that. That's why I can have an opinion. I competed in 2 open shows. I almost won one of them, the Phoenix Pro. And I placed second to Lucas Osladil. And I wouldn't have stuck in the open had I won that show. I would have stuck with the 212 because that's what I love to do. That was my ultimate goal, is to be the 212 Olympia champ. So I wouldn't have continued. I did another open show with Cedric, Brandon Curry.
Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah, and I was 4th in that lineup, and it was a great show. And I still wouldn't, had I won that, I wouldn't have. Well, maybe if I beat Brandon and Cedric, I would have. But my goal was not to be in the open. It was just for fun, to compete, and I knew I could stand with those guys. But as far as getting rid of it, it's just crazy. There's only a handful of guys that could compete. In the year that I did well in the open, I also won the Arnold and was second in the Olympia. So I was one of those guys that was just a handful of guys that could have done well, which meant Flex Lewis, myself, and maybe
Eduardo.
Eduardo. Eduardo placed, I don't know, 3rd in an open show one year.
Yeah. Was it the Flex Pro or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. And that was loaded.
Exactly. So they can definitely, the top of the top guys can stand with the open guys and compete. But the thing is, like you said, there is so many there's a lot of 212 shows still. There's still plenty. And some of those lineups are 20 plus guys deep. And I look at the top 10 of a 212 in some of these lineups, or the top 5, and I'm like, it's pretty close and it's pretty competitive. So you go like, some of these guys could stand in the open in smaller shows, but maybe they'll be 6th, making no money. I mean, they don't make a huge amount competing in the 212, but they get more notoriety and they get the chance to be able to stand on the Olympia stage, and it's a cool division to watch as well. So, Aaron, I want to go to you because obviously you're a current 212 pro that's going to be coming back this year, and obviously you don't want to see this division go away because you're top 10 in the Olympia, but you stepping into a lineup where it has Andrew Jack and the likes of those guys right now, it would definitely be much, much tougher. So what's your thoughts on Lee Priest's comments, and then also potentially getting rid of a 212 or keeping it?
Before I answer it, can I ask you a question, and Jose as well? And Nate, your opinion, if 212 existed when Lee was at his best, do you think he would have done it or not?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 yeses. That's my point, right? I've reached out to Lee over this, and the conversation blew out of control to a full-blown argument. But I believe, to be honest, he's just, if I'm being personal, he's just being sour, and because so there's a negative and positive part to this comment, right? I think he's being sour because sometimes Lee's just a sook. It's just the way he is. He hates. Sometimes I feel like he just hates on everything. But the fact is, he would have been probably a multiple Mr. Olympia. I truly believe, he would have done really well back then. And I feel like that's part of his comments that derived a little bit from that. Because to be honest, he would have been everyone talks back in the day. I imagine Jose, Flex, Lee Priest in the lineup. I used to think about that. How cool would that be? And everyone used to encourage Lee, make a comeback, We want to see the battle. I believe a lot of his comments stem from that, because he would have been so dominant in the 212. I won't go into finer details of any further than that, but I believe, another thing from a business standpoint, the first thing I said to a few friends, Sergio, I asked Josh, Flex, I spoke to Flex also about on the phone about it a couple of days ago. Imagine how much money the IFBB is going to lose in pro cards. So many people paying for pro cards every year, and they're not, $250, $300 times it by hundreds. and the prize money is not really that high in 212, so they're going to lose bulk money in pro cards. It's a silly business standpoint. And thirdly, like Jose said lately, the division's been so exciting to watch from an Olympia standpoint. Sorry, I've got screaming kids here.
It's okay.
Olympia standpoint, and it's been so impressive. I think it's cool to see breaking news. Angel jumps up into Prague, and this adds a little bit of suspense. Breaking news, Sean's the last minute add to the Arnold. I think it's exciting throwing a 212 guy randomly in Arnold makes it fucking so sick to watch. I want to see Sean battling as a 212, but I want to see Sean be an open competitor to be in the open. I want to see him be a 212 doing Arnold. It's just cool viewing in my eyes. The division has its place, and that was the PG version. What you shared of Lee Priest there, he did an Instagram story where he was way more R-rated than that, practically ragging on the division and everything. And he said no other sport has multiple divisions. The UFC is literally called the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You would assume it's just one fighter wins the Ultimate Championship. No, it has 12 divisions. Motocross has 250cc, 450cc class, both as popular as each other. Heaps of sports have multiple divisions, and they often complement each other. And I feel more than ever. And I'm not even, obviously what Jose Raymond's one of the goats of the division. I spoke to Flex about it. 212 is his absolute baby. And Lee reckons he said that to Flex, but they're household names in bodybuilding, Jose and Flex, and they built their entire reputation from the 212 division. Will we even have them today if that division didn't exist? Who knows? I think the divisions, obviously I'm biased because I'm 212, but the household names from these divisions are all part of the goats of bodybuilding. So it definitely has its place.
Yeah, I never would have taken my pro card if there was no 212.
Yeah, another good point you made, Jose, is how many guys, look at Sean, when he won his pro card, wasn't he 150 pounds or something?
143.
There you go, 143. So you think there's so many, and that happens more often than not. You go outside of America and the smaller countries that are not very as good, you're getting dudes winning their pro card that are not very heavy, and they cannot afford nor the time, the money, or the work put in to put on 100 pounds of weight, 80 pounds, 60 pounds of weight. They will just, like you say, they'll win their pro card. That'll be their life goal. They'll tick it off and they'll retire. So as a business standpoint, not only are we talking about guys renewing their pro cards, if that announcement came out, imagine the following year, how many would renew? There'd be a shit ton of retirements. And then people winning their pro cards would win their pro card and go, no worries, I'm done. See you later. That's it.
Yeah. And what Jose said too, he wouldn't have taken his pro card if there wasn't a 202 or 212 or whatever it was at the time. And I don't know if Sean Clarita would have taken his pro card, or maybe he would have gone and done one show and gone, yeah, look how far off I am. He would have been last, and I don't think he would have seen a future.
He wouldn't have, because he's stated many times that he came up watching me and Flex and David Henry and Kevin English, and that's what inspired him.
That's what inspired me. That's definitely what inspired me. Those battles that you're talking about, not to interrupt you, Jose, those battles to me were some of the great. I used to love you, Eduardo, Flex. There's a whole history there. That was, to me, was I love that bodybuilding, and Flex built his entire legacy off that. Dragon's Lair, would a Dragon's Lair even exist if it wasn't there? So to completely abolish it, I just think is truly insane.
I think Lee likes to say things, I love Lee. I think he just loves to get
a reaction
out of people, a reaction. Yeah. But if there was 212 back then, he would have been like Hadi and Derek. He would have won a number of them and then said, you know what, I'm going to go against the big guys. And he probably would have went on and did well like he did. Yeah. But I mean, even at the Olympia, his highest placing was 5th, right? In the Open.
Yeah.
So what would you rather have, a 5th place in the Open or 10 straight 212 championships? I don't know. I think he definitely would have competed in the 212. It's a crazy conversation to get rid of it because, number one, they won't, because there's just too much money involved.
Sure. And look at what Classic Physique has done as well. And you've got to say that in terms of popularity right now, classic physique and open are above 212. So if there's going to be conversation about removing any, it will be 212. But I still think it's a crazy conversation because I love the 212. To get rid of another bodybuilding division and then look how outnumbered the bodybuilding divisions would really be in the scheme of the Olympia. So watching the contest, you're going to see, you know, a majority of the divisions will be women or men's physique. And think about how many dudes do the men's physique and how long that takes. It's like the whole show will be 20% bodybuilding, if that, you know, and it's like, that's not what really does sell tickets. Is the classic's going to sell tickets. I mean, my live stream that I did, where I just did commentary of it and showed a few screen captures of the Olympia, that had, I think for the classic, 250 or 280,000 views. And it was even more or just below what the open finals was. And this was the classic pre-judging. So it shows the popularity of guys like Chris Bumstead, who has almost 15 million followers. You got Raymond, who's catapulted up to about 2 million followers. Urs is just below 1 million, and he's grown from 20,000 at last year's or 30,000 at last year's Olympia in terms of following. So these guys are becoming superstars more so than the open guys. So why aren't we then why did only 5 guys at the classic Olympia get to do their routines when we have women walking out forever and they've got so many of them coming out on stage? And when people want to watch the classic, we didn't get to see Terence Ruffin's Olympia routine, for example. That's criminal to me. And these guys work on their routine. You had 60 guys do routines for the Olympia and 5 of them got to perform it. That's 1 in every 12 people. To me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think, Aaron?
What I was going to say is, I wonder why, this is completely off subject, but I wonder why so many 212s didn't really speak up against what they said. But I guess I reached out to a few of them, and a lot of them didn't want the to blow up a bunch of negativity online. But it's surprising that so many, unless they just don't take him seriously, because Lee goes on these crazy rants and these, you know what Lee's like, and he feel like he hates the world. No one wants to speak up to him. No one wants to, because I reached out like, hey, like, you're going to say something? Like, do you want me to say something? And then I spoke to Lee directly in DMs. Like I said, it didn't go down very well. He ended up blocking me. Like I didn't see really, that's why I said, like, you talk about it on a podcast, I guess the most professional, best way to do about it, but no one spoke about it on their stories. No one wanted to give it the time of day. And I spoke to all the most of the top 10.
Guy, Christian Duke sent me a DM. You know who Christian Duke is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he and I just laughed. I was like, I'm like, definitely not. I don't agree with him. But I don't take it seriously because I'm not competing anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
And I get a kick out of Lee. I don't, but no, it can't happen. You know, someone who is a great friend of mine and that I train with, I'm helping him get ready for his first 212 show. If there wasn't 212, we'd be like, hey, it was a nice run. You know, not to really train for anymore.
So it'd be taking money out of your pocket.
Yeah, see, Lee, you fucking asshole. But yeah, no, there's too many great competitors that belong in the 212 and are ripping and roaring and, you know, training like animals and have a goal. It would change the climate drastically.
Look, if you take Lee's side, right? Say you're on Lee's side, which I haven't heard anybody actually take his side. Palumbo is the only one entertaining it. Where do you stop? Do you remove Classic? Right? Classic, no. Those guys are bodybuilders and they've moved up, right? You've had Keon move up, you had the late George Peterson move up and do incredibly well.
Exactly, yeah.
They're bodybuilders, right? Why don't we just eliminate that as well? You know, business-wise, it makes no sense. It's a horrific idea on every level. If you're you know, the organization, the IFBB that's selling pro cards, if you're running nationals and universe, and I think not only do you not have people taking their pro cards, I think you have people not competing, because
100%.
What is the pro card worth?
100%.
You know, the goal is, even though there are guys like me that were like, I'm trying to get the pro card. I don't know if I'll do anything with it after, but I'm going to get that. Because there was something I could do after. You know, I'll make the decision if I want to compete as a pro after I get the card. But if there's no 212 and it's like I'm going to go on stage at 210 pounds, you know, against guys that are 260, I don't stand a chance. I probably wouldn't have even gone for the pro card. So now you don't have 1,500 people competing at nationals paying $350 to enter that show. You know, you know, I think for me, when I don't take Lee seriously with these comments, because I find him to be an instigator, and he's the guy, he's the Donald Trump of our sport, that comes out with a tweet that just gets everybody talking about him when they weren't talking about him. And if this was Arnold making the statement, and I guess he did, right? Arnold, in a way, removed the 212 from his division. But if Arnold had come out and said, I think we should do away with the 212, there's some weight behind who's saying it, right? And then you go, oh shit, is Jim Mannion going to listen to this? Are the Olympia going to listen to this? I just don't think Lee Priest saying it is going to actually have any effect. So I don't know that there's any, you know, I don't know that we need to debate him and win the argument when, you know, he's the guy that put out a crazy tweet for attention on this.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, this can all, like, the 212 did take a hit when I think Flex Lewis, you know, yourself, Jose, Eduardo, like, if you guys came out of the, you know, from the top of the division, but we still had some guys coming in and filling those spots, like Derek Lunsford, Sean Clarita improving, and a bunch of other guys. But all we need is for Keon to come up a little bit. Obviously, you're coming back, Aaron. You could, you know, be standing next to Angel, and it could be a crazy comparison. And then we can get some more guys battling for that title again. And it comes in waves. It's not just because there's a few guys dropped out and Kamal's not going to do the 212 anymore, as he said. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be good guys coming up very, very soon. And there's a lot of guys last year I saw in a lot of these European shows that came out of nowhere and placed fourth in a 212 or third or whatever, and they still have room for improvement. So I think we're going to see some new stars coming up.
Another good point Nate made is it's like a little bit of a stepping stone or a bridge now in between classic and opens. Like,
yeah,
you've got Breon now who's been sliding, and he used to be 212 Breon actually before classic, right? And now I'm pretty sure he's made the announcement he's going to 212, correct? Yeah.
Yep. Correct. Yep.
And Keon, and like when Keon moved to T12, that created a fair bit of hype. I was pumped to watch Keon, and how much fucking size did he put on as well? And now Keon's a bit of a crowd favorite in regards to how freaky his shape is. He just fits 212, and that's a little bridge in between opens. And I don't feel those classic guys are ever going to go 212 then open. 212 is their final destination. If that didn't exist, what you think Breon and that were just going to jump to opens, they would just retire.
Yep, exactly. And just one little example as well, people have said about, like, you know, removing men's physique, or it's whatever. And look, don't get me wrong, like, I compete in men's physique, but I don't watch men's physique. Like, really, like, I will watch it, but it's not something that I'm like invested in. I love bodybuilding, but it literally was like, I was never going to compete again on an amateur level, for example. And then people were like, are you competing? I'm like, no, because I had a few injuries, couldn't train legs how I wanted to, and just it's not a genetically strong part. But then people were like, you competing? I was like, oh, fuck it. In so many weeks, I jumped in a show, and then I got, you know, ended up getting second to the guy who got his pro card at the Arnold Australia. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. And it gave me reason to compete, and it made me go, okay, a pro card is realistic. And then you can jump to that. And then some guys that are much younger in my position or whatever that may do that, they might go from men's physique, which we saw Stanimal do. Stanimal started in men's physique. Without men's physique, he might not be an open pro now, who's competed in the classic physique Olympia, and he's done now open. So it's a stepping stone. And I think we're getting more quality guys coming into it that would never think about competing, but are doing men's physique, classic, and then obviously maybe 212 as a pro. And it just, I think all those divisions are feeding the open, because we're looking at open now and how many good guys are in open compared to say 2019 when Brandon won the Olympia. It wasn't that deep. So I think 212 is a great
guys. With guys like Lee, and this isn't just knocking at Lee, I really like Lee, but of that generation, there's a lot of the back in my day, this is how things were, and it's changed, you know, and it's changed for the better of the business of the sport. You know, you hear from those same guys, there's way too many pro cards, whatever the complaints were, things are, you know, not like they used to be. And so I think with Lee, you know, Lee made that statement, as Jose pointed out, from his own experience, because he was that good. He was one of my favorite guys of that era, one of the freakiest guys. So in his world, that statement's true because he could hang with the open guys, you know. But there's a whole lot of them, myself included, that could not. And it sort of kills everybody's dream of being part of this sport in the division that you can fit in. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the sport. You know, someone like Stanimal, or like you mentioned yourself, is you can find something that you can fit in where you're at in your life at that point and put in the time. You know, when I first started competing, it was only bodybuilding, and then women's figure and fitness and women's bodybuilding. And so you either had to already have 5 years of lifting experience at least to be at a local show, otherwise you'd embarrass yourself, or that's it, you know. And at least now in my gym, we have so many college kids, 19-year-olds, that are like, I'm doing a show this year and it's men's physique or it's classic, because they would be years away from getting on stage at a local show for bodybuilding. But some of those guys doing men's physique or classic can be bodybuilders 2 or 3 years from now, but I don't know that they would have if you didn't give them an opportunity to be a part of the sport early on with these other divisions.
Yeah. And the thing about men's physique, bikini, classic as well, and then obviously, you know, they feed into 212, which feeds into open, is that I think it's literally shifted fitness culture, because everyone knows someone now that competes. Like if you're under the age of 35 or 40 or whatever, you're definitely going to know someone that competes, even if you're not a competitor yourself. You're just going to follow someone, a friend from school's competing in a men's physique comp, and then you might click on their profile, look at it, and then it might influence you to compete or get into fitness or whatever. And it's made fitness so much bigger, and just going to the gym in general so much more popular, that I understand being an old school guy. And even myself, I've been into it since I was like 14. My dad used to compete, and I've heard all the stories. So I knew about all the 90s, my 80s bodybuilders and all that sort of stuff growing up. So I knew, and I grew up in the magazine culture as well. So we were deprived of, you know, video content and all that sort of stuff. And now to go from when I was going to the gym, where there's more of your hardcore bodybuilders or whatever in there, to when you're in there now with tripods around the gym and everyone taking selfies and people just sitting on equipment where there's like 5, you know, school kids just surrounding them, just talking. You're like, I want to use that. I understand that pisses people off, and it changes the way people see going to the gym. But it's like, if you're in that situation, you need to find a gym like yours, Nate, or you need to surround yourself with that part of the fitness culture that you like, and not, I suppose, when you see it, you know, like it is annoying at times, like, don't get me wrong, like, or kids that don't know what they're doing now in the gyms, or they just leave weights everywhere. But it's cool that people are actually getting into fitness more and into training and all that sort of stuff, compared to maybe what they might be doing outside of that. So I think it's a positive influence on a lot of people's lives, but it's obviously it does affect the way bodybuilding is. And now there's so many pro cards, all that sort of stuff. But Jose, being like a guy that's been into it for longer than all of us, you've competed since been a teenager. How do you see it, and how do you, I suppose, deal with the changes in bodybuilding?
I'm not involved. I don't compete anymore. So, but I do train in the gym every day, and the whole it's a shock to me. Like, I just love to train, and I love people that love to train. And, you know, of course, there's a lot of social media is a huge part of all this. But I get turned off by the people that they're not doing anything impressive. And these kids with no muscle on them, taking their shirts off, putting a tripod up. You know, even some of the girls, like just filming themselves bending over. And there's a lot of nonsense out there, but there's always going to be a good group of people that are just hardcore and love to train. And, you know, that's me. I only did the filming of shit because I had to for my sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been, you know, I would have been that guy that just, I love to train, you know. That's what got me into it. I never intended to compete. My brother put me up to it, and I ended up doing well. That was 30 years ago. Exactly 30 years ago.
Wow.
I did the Englands in March of 1993.
I would have been 3.
Yeah, 3 years old. There you go.
I
competed every year from 93 to 2018. The one year I took off was 2008. because I had broken my leg. And
Wow.
that's it. Yeah, imagine that.
Consistency, man. Like that, and that goes to show, like, and you didn't push your body, like, obviously, you know, becoming a pro and getting to that level, things change, but you were natural for a long time. Like, it's actually incredible when the physique you had when you were natural is next level. Like, it's crazy. It's obviously not enough to stand with the other 202 or 212 pros, but you stood on stage as a pro natural, which is crazy as well. So that's a testament to you. And do you feel better about that, I guess, that you, in a way, that there maybe wasn't the 202 back, or, you know, earlier in your career, because maybe you would have just gone for too long and, you know, obviously pushed things for too long?
Well, no, it gave me time. I'm happy the way things went, because
Yeah.
it gave me more time to hone my skills and learn how to diet properly and learn how to train properly and nail it. I could nail my condition no matter what. And then, you know, once I was a pro, all I had to do was put on size. And I was good at that already too, you know? So it was, I think had I started earlier, I wouldn't have had the longevity that I did. You know, I competed till I was 44 years old. And I wouldn't have done that, I'm pretty sure, had I been gassing as a teenager, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to say one thing. I do think there is one, you guys brought up Keon. I think Keon is the one guy that has the ability to take out Clarita in the next couple of years and be able to move into the open, just like Derek did, and be able to win it at that level. This kid is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when he puts it all together, forget about it. He's going to be ridiculous. That's the one guy I can see. He's really the only one I could see beating Sean.
I feel like he has I feel like he has the freakiest genetics in the entire IFBB. Like,
He's damn close, man.
obviously it's just a condition thing. His silhouette of his shape is absolutely so wild, like it looks like a cartoon. Like, it's one of the freakiest things, you know.
He's wide like Derek, those crazy shoulder width. He's got the tiny hips, tiny waist, huge round muscle bellies, huge arms. He's missing nothing. He just needs to be in shape.
Yeah. And he trains hard too. Like, he always seems to train hard. He's trained with Martin Fitzwater a fair bit, who I know he's a very hard trainer as well. So it doesn't seem like that's like the issue. He seems dedicated, and I've actually spoke to him a bit about his conditioning, and he sort of mentioned it, and he's like, you know, he's like, talks about the shape he gets in. And sometimes you see, you know, close up photos, you see that, and you can see the conditions there, but it's just not that deep, like, you know, graininess to his skin. And some guys just have that look where it just, I think even if Sean Clarita gets inside out, it still won't look the same level as a Clarita maybe, but I don't think he needs to be that level. You know?
Sean's like 13 years older than Keon.
Yeah.
So it you know, it takes time. Keon's got a lot of new muscle. It's going to take time for it to really season. And when he does, he's going to be nuts. I think he's suffering from similar to Hunter Labrada, like the expectations are so strong. People like writing him off, screw him, you know. But no, I think he's going to get better and better. He's just got to take his time. I think he's 27. Is that how old he is?
Oh, something like that. He's not old though. I know he's obviously in his 20s. So
right. So give him
the condition from the front is fine. It's the rear shots.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at there.
Yeah.
Aaron, there's absolutely no one with that shape that I've seen since I can remember.
Are you excited by the fact that you've been off stage for what, 2019? What, it's going to be 4 years. Wow. Okay. So 4 years between being on stage. Are you excited by the fact that you think your physique might have actually matured in that time, and you might get another level of like graininess, because you're hard on stage already? So
yeah, I'm excited the fact that I'm confident, like Jose was, like he said back in the day, I'm confident that I can consistently bring good condition, you know. But I'll be naive to believe that the division hasn't evolved either. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you say that I beat Angel when I competed, I did, but he's a lot bigger now too, you know. Like I think I got up the other day and he was like 107 or 109 kilos, and he was shredded as.
I was wondering if he was going to jump in the Arnold Classic because he looked enormous and he put actually something a bit cryptic on there as well. So I was actually wondering if Angel was.
He's bigger. He's put so you know. But yeah, I'm actually anxious to get back. I'm a little bit nervous about dieting again because I feel like it's been so long, like 3 or 4 years.
How much do you weigh, Aaron?
How much I weigh? Fasted 105 kilos, so that's like 232 pounds.
Same as Nate.
Okay,
What do you're 5'5"?
5'4".
5'4".
I'm pretty short. I'm
I can
about the same.
confirm, yes.
I think I'm the same height as Angel. Pretty sure when we were side by side, I'm about the same height as Angel.
Yeah, he's my height. He
Yeah.
might be. He says he's 5'4", but I think he's like 5'3" and change.
Me and Lee Priest went back to back when we were a bit more friendlier than we are now. We're back to back, and we're exactly the same height.
Oh, so you're taller than me. Lee's skies over me.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, he's like 5'5".
Oh, I swear I'm 5'4". But yeah, but 2 years ago, we're at a gym. I trained with Lee once, and we put the ruler and we're like directly, pretty much even. So
yeah, but in general, pretty short. So 232 pounds is impressive.
Yeah.
But I know
212 height.
what's up.
Good 212 height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, well, like obviously, like it's so impressive, man. Because I've seen, obviously, like being friends with you, you'll just randomly send me photos, and when you start sending me photos regularly, I know things are going really well. So like during your Olympia prep, I started to get a few more photos in some weeks, and then like during your New Zealand prep, when he's prepping for that show which you won, you're sending me photos of that, and it was cool, man, because I've got to see that progression, and you evolve extremely quickly. Like when you make changes, your body changes aggressively. Like it seems like within 2 weeks you can go from being like, oh yeah, you're in a sort of a solid like health phase to being like ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess, you know, my problem is I've got businesses, like 3 businesses, like 17 employees, and I disappear at times. Like if I've got injuries, I train 3 or 4 days a week, but I'm eating like 3 or 4 meals maximum a day, and I lose weight. I go on TRT for like 5 months straight. That's always been my problem in the last few years, and I'll focus on my business and expand that. And then I had 3 kids, and I'm not some of these other guys that are just bodybuilding all year. That's why I blow up like I have the last 2 months, because I've been full-time bodybuilding the last 2 months, and then I put 8 kilos on. So I get the fluctuation, you know. Kevin LeBron would do the same thing. He would disappear for like 6 months at a time, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Do you think you can ever dedicate, like, just say you compete this year, you do well in the Olympia, you're back in the top 10 again. Do you think at any stage you go, okay, well, look, because the 212 is close. Like some of these guys are pretty damn close. Like I've looked at a lot of these pro shows, they're all very, very close because there is that 212 weight cap. And I think it's closer because I think when you were competing, Jose, the top guys, like the top 3-4 guys compared to the guys outside the top 10, big difference. Now I think it's a bit closer. So would, Aaron, if you're in the top 10, would you go, okay, I can dedicate more time this year, take more time away from business, which makes you money, to actually put into bodybuilding? Or do you think that's not realistic with 3
I'll
kids?
answer for him. No. Hell no.
No, well, that's why I put a manager on. As I told you a month ago, I put a manager on to run my business now. So now this year is just, I want to see what I'm capable of, focusing full-time on bodybuilding again. So the last 5 weeks, I haven't gone to work. Not physically gone to work. I answer the phone all day, but I don't physically go in anywhere, and just see what I'm capable of. Otherwise, I might as well retire. So this year I'm going to go all in again and see what I'm at. But I'm not going to be like, it's going to take me a full, this year I still want to be back to my best. I don't think, so I'm going to need more than this year. I'm not going to just do like 10 months and then say that was it. But this year I'm going to be actually no excuses, like living like a pro. Like I texted Patrick Tour about coaching me again. He's like, about 6 months ago, and he said, mate, you're working like 60, 70 hour weeks. Talk to me again when you're living like a pro bodybuilder again. And he was exactly right. He was exactly right. I was sleeping 4 hours, 5 hours maximum a night. And I was like, no, you're right. I'm working. I'm too business focused. I'll come back to you in 6 months when I've got a manager sorted. Now that I've got the manager sorted, I'm ready to reach out again and go, hey, I'm living like a pro again. Let's actually have a crack at this properly. You can't do both. There's no way.
Yeah.
No,
not at least an excel at both. It's such a challenge.
Depends how big your business is, but the size mine is now, yeah, I can't. It's one or the other for me. So that's why I put that manager on. So
yeah, Nate, you can speak to that as well. Obviously, you know, running your gym, and I know that I've heard you speak on a podcast about, like, you know, what you're focusing on at certain times. So how do you manage that, and what's your plans?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure it out for this prep. It's the best prep I ever had was when I turned pro at Universe, where there was nothing to do because it was in the middle of COVID and everything was closed, and I lived like a bodybuilder. I'd meet with Jose every day to train and just eat and sleep and do cardio. And now it's a little different. I might train 8 clients in a day. And I have all the responsibilities of growing this gym and running the gym. But, at the same time, I'm in an awesome gym, and I have clients that are very supportive of me competing. And so what I'm going to have to do is have a designated time. I'm training at this time. I'm doing cardio at this time. I'm getting meals in at this time, and stick to it. And it's, the hardest part for me so far has been being the face and the greeter of the gym from people that come from the first time, or regulars, college kids that, man, can I ask you a question? Here's what my split is. And they're very eager. And I've got like a 15-minute window to eat before I got to go train 4 clients in a row, So I've got to get a little bit more regimented and tougher of the, hold on a second, let me go heat my meal up, then I'll come back and talk to you as I'm eating, little things like that. So it's very doable. I just have to absolutely prioritize the things I need to do. And in some cases that might mean saying no to a client, saying no to some 19-year-old that wants to ask me, how do you build a chest when I have 5 minutes to eat a meal, but that's very doable. I'm in this space. I've got Jose that's here almost every day. I've got great equipment. It's just going to be time management for me and prioritizing this prep and saying no to clients or to other people who want to pick my brain all day long.
But I understand that must be tough for you as well, Bo, because you're a guy that seems like your entrepreneurial growth mindset, all that sort of stuff. So, and you seem like a personable, nice guy as well. So I've actually been in the same boat with certain things. I used to PT in a gym and, coach people out of that gym as well. And then you get, like I said, you get that small gap, plan to have my meal then, and then you've got like another 1.5 hours or 2 hours of clients, and then you go, oh shit, like this was a potential new client that I was chatting to. They talked to you, and then you're like, okay, cool. Well, I've got a new client, but instead of having a 3-hour break between my meals, now it's extended out to 5. And then it's just like stuff like that. And it's like during prep, like, I mean, yeah, you can get away with it, but it's not ideal. And just little things like that, even for me, when I've prepped in the past, if that does happen, it plays on my mind. I'm like, today was a shit day overall, for prep. It wasn't spot on.
I think part of it too, and I think Jose can probably relate to this because, Jose competed at the highest level and trained clients all day. Obviously,
yeah,
would have had the benefit of maybe some magazine sponsorships or supplement sponsorships or winning shows to supplement on top of the clients that I don't have. But I think part of it is my mentality of, I grew up with not a whole lot, a family that wasn't very wealthy, and I have no safety net, right? There's no, something goes wrong and I don't make money. I've got, and with the trainer mentality, all of you guys, if you've been trainers before, is if you're not hustling, you don't eat. And so I have to find some balance with that, because the switch is always on. Somebody walks through my door right now and I'm like, I don't know this person. I need to go greet them. I need to make sure they have a great experience, that they want to come back to my gym. They may want to train with me or one of my trainers here, And so there's that always being on, always be closing thing that I have to find moments where I can turn it off to prioritize the things I need to do to compete. So that's going to be my challenge for this prep.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool to hear the mindset. And I like to actually hear from guys like you that are competing actively in the sport. You've got like guys like, from Flavor Gang, Ross Flanagan, who, he's obviously competing as IFBB pro and has a successful business in the industry. And it's a balancing act, man. And when I see you guys do it, and Aaron, you've got obviously a ton of business, and Jose, even with you, like I've heard, videos you've done and saying how many clients you'll do in a day. You wake up and do like an hour on the stepper, you do like another X amount of it afterwards, and you train. And I'm like, that's, for me, that's motivating. I'm like, that's actually really cool that you guys are still you hustle so hard, even though you're still obviously being successful and competing as pros. So I think it's cool. And it's cool to hear your mindset and the way you guys, I suppose, challenge that, because you don't always hear of it in the industry. And sometimes you hear of guys that are more on the lazy side, but it seems like it's almost changing now, and people see the opportunity of making money in the industry. It's just some people obviously better than others, and some people are more dedicated than others. So it's always cool to hear. But guys, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, and I want to give you, Jose and Nate, the chance to promote your podcast as well, because you have the Jose Raymond podcast over there on your channel. I'll put a link to that in the description below as well, and I encourage everyone to jump over, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button on your guys' channel. But tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's probably the most underrated podcast in the industry, because for the amount of views you guys get, for the level of content, I think you guys should be getting a lot more views. So Nate, tell us a little bit about that, and I'll get Jose's views too.
Yeah, we started it during COVID when we found a hidden gym, an office building gym we were going to every day to train. And, we were talking about whatever podcasts were out at the time. I think, Fuad had one, obviously Palumbo's been around forever. There were very few that we enjoyed. And what I had said to Jose, having the privilege of training with him every day and hearing stories of these battles on stage, traveling the world with these guys and all the behind the scenes stuff, and what I was learning from training with him and prepping with him, I wasn't seeing represented out there in the podcasts. And it's getting better now with what you're doing, Xavier, and what Fuad's doing, where we're seeing the real side of bodybuilders versus and this is no knock on, a Ron Harris or Palumbo, where it was trying to be a more formal interview, where the bodybuilders were a little bit more closed off and they weren't as open up as you're seeing nowadays. So it was just mainly saying to Jose, I was trying to give him the nudge of, man, you need to be out there doing this. There's so much people can learn from you, like I'm learning. And Jose said, let's do it. You and me. And I was kind of like, who the fuck am I, right? Why am I going to be a part of this, And we just did it to do it. And, thanks to Jose's connections, everybody came on within the first few months. We had Jay Cutler and Mike O'Hearn and Chris Aceto and Brandon Curry and whoever. So for me, it's been an absolute joy. I feel like a Make-A-Wish kid throughout this whole thing of, being brought into the sport and getting to know all these guys. But really it's about sharing Jose's knowledge and his stories that I get to see every day in the gym with everyone else. And, now that he's on more and more podcasts, now he's a podcast whore, as I call him, being on everybody's podcast. Now everyone's getting to see what we all love about Jose and what we value about Jose, his insight.
Yeah, absolutely. Jose. Yeah, I definitely want you guys to get more and more views. And like you said, you've had some great guests on as well. Like I've listened to all those podcasts and thought they were awesome. And the connection you guys have with the pros as well, because it's cool, because Jose, you've generally got the personal experience, and Nate, you do with some of them as well, obviously, but you've known them for years, Jose, and you've got that sort of that level of, I suppose, connection with these guys where the stories and you can sort of ask the questions, and that, I suppose, to get those stories. And then Nate, you come from sometimes like an outside perspective on some of those stories as well. So it's a good blend with you two guys actually interviewing people together. So I do enjoy that. So Jose, what's your thoughts?
We were doing really well. We were getting some crazy views. Like I think Evan Senapani's interview had over 100,000 views.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
awesome.
we did really well. Nick Walker, we had a lot of really good ones, but then just life started happening. Busy. And, it's not something that we planned to like make a living from. It was just something fun to do. And then he opened a gym and, just life happens. So just the last month, we've been a little more consistent with it. And you know how it goes. If you miss that algorithm there, you're stuck with 400 views. You're like, what the hell?
Slap you for it.
Yeah. We went from 100,000 to 400. But it's one of those things. You got to keep pumping them out. And, we do it for fun. And, and it is kind of cool to see, oh shit, we got some good views today or whatever. and you know, it's just something that we do for fun and try to bring out, as Nate said. If you watch some of those interviews, they're really good. Like
Yeah.
Nick Walker, that was the first interview Nick did, and he went really deep with some really deep shit. And you know, and that was because, you know, I've been around, and they don't feel like they're being interviewed by a platform. They're being interviewed by a buddy, you know.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing with me as well. It's different people talking to me. And I always have to preface things. Sometimes I'm like, you can actually tell me off record and it won't go anywhere. Like, you know, if we can have a conversation as well. Because sometimes I feel like guys will talk to me, but they're like, you're media as well. And I'm like, no, it's all good. And once you earn that trust, then it's a lot different. But yeah, like you said, Jose, they trust you. It's a friend. It's not a media outlet, you know?
Right. And I want to plug that Senapani Circles. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yes,
but,
I've been on it. Yep.
Yeah. It is a pretty cool thing. It's on Telegram. You got to download Telegram and you go on to Senapani Circles, and there's 12 different pros on there, like all day long.
Yeah, I'll put the link to that in the description too as well.
Yeah. Jay Cutler, Evan Senapani, Juji Mufu, Antoine Valiant, James Hollingshead, myself, Guy Sistanino, Chris Tuttle, Milos, and there's nothing else out there where you can interact with these people all day long. You can ask questions and do whatever, you know, just see a side of these people that you've never seen. It's pretty interesting. It's like you and your buddies during the day filming a video and you know, talking shit to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, James Hollingshead's always in the bathtub. You know, Chris is getting ragged on by his wife. You know, leading down the park, looking at all these fancy cars and shit. It's funny. It's really interesting stuff. So you got to check it out.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll definitely put a link to that in the description below as well. And I'll put a link to both your guys' social medias, the Gym Hub social media, yours as well, Aaron, obviously. And hopefully we'll be doing more of these bodybuilding universities coming up. I have one planned with some of the other guys in the next couple of days. So I'll get that out. And then would love to have you guys back on as well, obviously. And I do encourage everyone to check out those previous interviews you guys have done as well, because they're interviews where they're not like time sensitive. It's not like, you know, you have to watch it, you know, oh, it's gone if you've recorded it 2, 3, 4 months ago. They're all pretty, you know, what do you call it? Evergreen content. So definitely check those out. And yeah, Aaron, do you want to promote anything before we wrap it up?
Oh, I'll just thank my sponsors, Food for Fitness, for feeding me, and my supplement sponsor, Massive Dose. That's it.
Yep. And your wife for looking after the kids and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah. So some of these interviews, like, I worry about the time because I've got 3 kids and my daughters are identical twins. They're almost 2 years old. They just make so much noise.
Yeah, I feel you.
Before they were like tantruming. I don't know if you could hear it in the background. I was like, shit, if they go next level, it's going to ruin the interview. But,
no, I was about to mute you if it got too bad.
Yeah, I was muting it before. I said that when I was screaming, I was muting it, unmuting it. But, yeah, anyway, all good. We got through it.
Yeah, got there. Jose and Nate, do you want to shout out anything, any sponsors or anything like
The Gym Hub, baby. There you go.
Yep.
Check it out when you're in Boston.
Yeah. And can people get a workout with you, Jose, or are you like fully booked all the time?
No. I get hit up every day. Yes, absolutely. I'll always make time, especially if they're serious.
Yeah. And likewise for you, Nate?
Yep, of course. I'm here training all day as well.
Awesome,
Nate's
beautiful.
available for private posing as well. And he sells his socks and posing trunks.
I was waiting for that.
I'm washed.
I got to make a living somehow.
I like how that started off as like, I'm like, oh, that's so nice of Jose to promote Nate. And then it's like, okay, yeah, but now he's taking a piss. Love it. Anyway, guys, Jose, it was like when you said when your dog was making like a funny noise and you said, sorry, that's my mother. And you said, shut up, will you? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't laugh just in case, like, some off chance it actually is your mum or something.
It wasn't.
No, I'm glad because I was concerned. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Everyone, Make sure you like, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, all that good stuff. And for myself, Jose Raymond, Aaron Pilates, and Nate Telow, we are out. Hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of Bodybuilding University with myself, Jose Raymond, Aaron Pilates, and Nate Telow. We do have an update as well on Aaron Pilates and Lee Priest. Obviously, they had some words for each other back and forth on this podcast and also on RX Muscle. Since then, they've actually apologized to each other. They've made up, and we might be doing an episode on here as well with Lee Priest and Aaron Pilates. I've got to reach out to Lee and check to see if he's free, but I definitely want to do that on desktop bodybuilding, and I'm sure they might do something on RX Muscle as well. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you do like and appreciate this content, you want to see more Bodybuilding University, and we have another episode coming up very, very soon, give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. And let me know your opinion. Should we keep the 212 or not? And how do we make the 212 better? We didn't discuss that too much, but I think we can actually do it in some ways as well. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. The Desktop Bodybuilding, Jose Raymond, Aaron Pilates, Nate Telow, and myself, Xavier Wills, we are out.